Hello. Uh, I'm continuing my streaming binge thanks to Shelly Druckrey. I wanted to talk about this one called Blood Quantum, uh, written and directed by Jeff Barnaby, which also came out in 2019, which Bliss, that I just reviewed, this very channel, please watch it, um, also came out the same year. So the 2010s have been a good time for horror. There've been a flood of horror movies, and as like a lot of things, probably, excuse me, the vast majority of them fail at what they try to do, or maybe don't really try to achieve anything, and hence do not achieve anything. But that's okay. There's all kinds of levels of horror filmmaking, from micro budget indie all the way up to you know indie that's been able to raise a decent budget and create something interesting. And it's different from country to country. And in Europe, you get a lot of companies that fund films that take chances, like Studio Canal. Wild Bunch is a good one, I think. It does it here too. But so Blood Quantum, yeah, it's a Canadian one. And I'd heard that it was really good on Facebook, which that can go, so um, generally people I trust, but I don't know who all's seen it among people I'm currently regularly talking to. I'm going to put it out there in this video and also in my Facebook film group. It's called Deep Images, which is a private group, but I sometimes post public invitations, but I have to approve all the requests because I'm just I like the troll drama to be reduced to a nice zero. Um, so yeah, Blood Quantum has almost all Native American casts. I'm not going to attempt to try to remember all of the names of the actors. I apologize. I will strive to retain the names of the characters, and I will, give you some extra info. Like I said, I got my little, you know, sheet window over here. So, uh, the first 5 minutes, I loved it because it's a trope that doesn't show up much, and for some reason, I just find it absolutely hilarious. It makes me laugh my ass off, and it makes me think it's just such a cool concept uh, to attach to the undead, kind of the post Romero undead film landscape. Uh, if you guys have seen Return of the Living Dead, in the beginning they're in the warehouse and what's his face? James Karen is showing around the younger guy, and it's a medical studies, and there's like split dogs had to dissect, and there's like pinned butterflies and a few other odd things. So, the accident happens where the trioxin gets out and reanimates all living things. I would say anything, plants. No, don't get into the whole vegetarian thing. Do plants feel pain? Well, okay, all right, we'll do that for another time. But anything with a brain reanimates. Now, generally, you haven't seen that before that I know of before Return of the Living Dead, 1985, at least in a film that I'm aware of. If you can name one, please lay it on me and I will try to find it. But maybe in a book or something, I don't know. Maybe John Rousseau did it in his Return of the Living Dead book. That's very possible. The film is really Dan O'Bannon's creation. He really just took the title from Rousseau's novel, which was a sequel to his own novelization of Night of the Living Dead, which he claimed to have written, but he did work on the original screenplays treatment, kibitzing, and writing a few bits and pieces, but really it was George Romero's short story, which turned into a long screen treatment called Night of Anubis. And then as far as what I can tell, George Romero, in actual this, he wrote the entire script that's on the camera, that's on screen. I'm not saying Romero, he didn't use some of Rousseau's ideas or lines, maybe he did. But Rousseau's, career has taken a downturn, but so did Romero's. I mean, Romero gained infinite respect, which he deserves. But he got ripped off financially quite a lot in his lifetime. I walked by John Rousseau at his table at Mad Monster Party 2014, and I kind of wanted to say hi and stuff, but just because it's John Rousseau. But anyway, I haven't read the Return of the Living Dead novel. They came back into print in mass market in around 1993. I was going to buy both of them, and I slacked off. They're probably very cheap on eBay. So I don't know if there's any characters in common with Rousseau's book or not. I kind of doubt it, because Dan O'Bannon's a pretty imaginative cat himself. I'm sure you guys realize that. He mostly wrote Alien, and so this one, and Dan O'Bannon directed this one, which makes it even more amazing a feat, really. Because the effects are incredible, the setup's incredible, the siege, the siege trope is awesome. I always like it, especially if it's well done. Your characters are trapped in a confined space, and something's trying to get you, pick you off one by one. Sometimes it can be in the outdoors, like in Southern Comfort. And if you don't think Southern Comfort's a horror movie, you definitely need to watch it. I think it is. This one is not a siege movie. This is kind of a movie where something happens and it changes the nature of the environment around it and the structure of society, or what's left of society, because they're Indian, Native American, reservations. So they're already kind of fragmented away from the main line of society. So it's interesting to see this kind of stuff happening. But what I was going to say 20 minutes ago was that at the beginning of Return of the Living Dead, when the trioxin does this, it does make all living creatures, with a brain, reanimate. So the pinned butterflies all begin flying, all begin flapping their wings. Very visual. And the dog starts whining, and then the kid that came scaring his training hits it with a crutch, and it goes woo, woo, woo. And it's like it's so ridiculous. When the first time I saw it, maybe not the first time, the second time I saw it, I had to rewind it a few times. Watch that. I love animals, so the idea of this undead dog, whining like, "Quit knocking me! I'm already split in half, motherfucker." I don't know, it just tickled me. So in this one, you have a fisherman who lives out by the coast, and he's got one fish that he's going through the fish that are good, that are usable for food, and the ones that are kind of aren't in good shape. And he cuts open a few and discards various ones. So they start flapping around. I mean, they were dead, but they are no more. So he gets Trailer, who is a Native American. I mean, most of the characters are Native American, so I probably need to stop saying that. I'll point out when a white person's in instead. Trailer, main character, really. He and his family. He is the sheriff of the small, keeps order in the small group of reserves or reservations, and the Red Crow reserves. And so most of them are full-blooded, if not all of them. They're a tight-knit community. And he keeps order. Um, a lot of his hassles with being the police chief is he has a son named Joseph, and Joseph has a best friend named Alan, who Trailer kind of raised as his own foster son. Alan also goes by this, I guess it's like his punk rock name of Lysol. They never explained the why he chose that one, but you know, a lot of punk rockers chose names, you know, that they weren't born with that made no sense. But it made no sense to other people. It might have significance to them. Um, and Lysol's kind of a douche and pulls all these crazy pranks, even though he's, you know, like in his early 20s. Uh, and some of them are quite gross, pretty much harmless, but just really stupid. And so Trailer's always trying to get him to stop. He thinks Alan slash Lysol, he thinks he himself thinks he's a fuck up. Um, not trying to be judgy, but you know, he is, and he really shows it by the end of the movie. But Joseph sees it as his brother and believes in him that he's got good in him. Joseph's pretty cool. He's a tall, shaven-headed kid. Now his girlfriend Charlie is white. She's a ginger, I guess of Irish descent, and she's pregnant. Well, no, she's when the movie starts. I don't think she's well. Yes, she just finds out she's pregnant. Okay, and she's gonna get an abortion. And he goes to see her at the clinic, and he's been busy trying to bail Alan out of trouble, and they decide jointly to keep the child. So next thing you know, Trailer has to put a dog out of its misery. So he shoots it in the head, I think, and maybe not. He shoots it, and it comes. Well, he puts it in his trunk, and he starts hearing banging, and he comes to see the fisherman and opens the thing, and the dog's like, you know, freaking out. But shoots it again, and then they immediately figure we got to burn him. We got to burn him. I mean, they make a lot of leaps in logic here. They're much more. These two guys alone are much more astute than all of the characters in the early parts of Return of the Living Dead, who some of whom have medical training and scientific training. But yeah, these two cats are like. I mean, maybe they saw a lot of zombie movies. They never reference any. Thank God. There's this one isn't meta, and it shouldn't be. It's strong on its own. Um, and it's bold in its concept. And so they burn the dog and the fish. So you know that tickled me. I was immediately in love with the movie. So um, basically, there's an outbreak of humans coming back to life, and really they're the straggling white people who live in or around the community. There aren't many, and you know they pretty much do the. If I'm correct, they do the shooting them in the head and they die thing, and which didn't work in the sadness. You had to just destroy their whole head, but nobody shot. Hardly anyone shot anyone in the sadness, which I thought was just ridiculous. But anyway, um, yeah, there's a lot of shooting in this one. They shoot him in the head. That's that. Now this is the deal. You know, these guys catch on fast. They already figured out, you know, about the reanimated animals. So now about the reanimated humans, they're noticing that it only affects non-Native Americans, humans. So it affects like all humans and animals except Native American ones. I don't know why the Native American animals are affected. Um, but here's some of the cheat. I wanted to get into it with you a little bit. Where the heck is the? By the way, this is a period piece. It takes place in 1981, which is cool because, again, a lot of original and interesting indie horror came out, even from Canada in the 80s. Red Crow Indian Reservation in Quebec. Okay, so I wanted to tell you real quick. The film's title refers to blood quantum laws, which have been used in the United States and Canada to determine indigeneity based on the percentage of one's indigenous ancestry. Barnaby, the director, has described the film as offering commentary on colonialism. The film is set in 1981 because that was the year in which a force of game wardens, fisheries officers, and Quebec provincial police officers raided Litsagouge, arresting and beating many of its members and confiscating their fishing equipment. These members, who were not incarcerated, erected barricades, and in retaliation, the aforementioned authorities conducted a second raid. In addition to zombie films, the film was also influenced by Incident at Restigouche, Alanis Albamsoan's influential 1984 documentary film about the Restigouche raid, which Barnaby had all of the actors watch before production. So yeah, so what you're having here is, the script is flipped. So they go 6 months later. Oh, by the way, there's a character named Joss, last important character. She's the ex-wife of Trailer. She's a nurse. She's the mother of Joseph and foster mother of the Lysol guy. Anyway, so 6 months on down the road, they've kind of flipped the script, and they're running out of ammunition, but they've still got quite a bit, and it is kind of like a Romero movie. I mean, like, they have one zombie that's tied up. They put a soldier hat on him, and his legs are gone. I don't know if they cut his legs off or they were gone when he died. And they just kind of let him jibber jabber. He's not like Bub, and he's not even like the guy in the Thing guy, whatever, spitting blood in 28 weeks later that they have chained. It's just, they have a chained zombie. So, I guess they thought that would be a nice touch. Because they kind of fuck with him. But see, it's a white guy. So what I was trying to say, unsuccessfully, was the script is flipped. So now it's the Native Americans who are holding this whole community and area together to survive, and by warding off all the non-Native Americans. And pretty much, like the guy says in Dawn of the Dead, they must be destroyed on sight. And that's pretty much what they do. And Alan / Lysol, he has just a wee bit too much fun with that. He's created this whole Lysol persona, kind of a costume, and he's got like a mask. It looks a little bit like the Crossbones mask that was worn by that character, Crossbones, in Avengers Civil War. Skull, kind of a little like the Punisher, not particularly original, and a hoodie. He looks pretty cool though, and he carries around this weird scythe that's got a weird handle where you can aim it like a gun and slice at people. He's a good visual character in that persona. The character is so hateable though. He's gotten worse in the 6 months this happened. It's given him a reason to bring out his evil side, his dark side. It's gone from I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna punk everybody, prank everybody, to, hey, I've got target practice with some white crackers, and oh my god, that might be my movie, my video pulled from Caucasians, and so that was not hate speech. I am a white ass cracker, and it's fine. It's no big deal. I don't give a damn who calls me that. Get over it. So anyway, it's very interesting. So Charlie, yes, is still pregnant now. She's nearing the end of her pregnancy, and of course they're worried about I guess, her blood quantum. They're worried about how, if the Native American blood from Joseph is going to be enough to cancel out the Caucasian blood that is susceptible to this zombie plague. And so that's an ongoing, underlying source of constant tension, especially for those two characters who are going to have the kid. And Trailer and Joss, his ex-wife, have gotten a little closer. She bandages him up. He's been bitten like a zillion times. So these things bite you, but doesn't turn you. They can't turn you. You can't catch it. However, if they corral you, enough of them, they can, through sheer strength and they're, how zombies are. They can rip your intestines out and you'll die. You won't become a zombie, but you'll be dead. So, yeah, it's fucked up. So, and the metaphor of the undead white people ripping the guts out of Native Americans, that it's not lost on me. I doubt it would be lost on anybody. But I don't think it's heavy. It's on the nose, but it's not heavy-handed. But these are the kind of things people need to face in real life. But this is a nice way to show it within an entertaining genre film. So that's the end of my review. No, I'm kidding. I'm not done yet. A Native American actor, Gary Farmer, he's probably the most famous actor in here and the oldest. He plays this old guy named Moon who's kind of wanders around dispensing these kind of, bits and nuggets, aphorisms of wisdom, and he's not quite as wise as he believes himself to be, and he turns out to kind of not be what he appears to be either. There's also a character named Lilith, because who's a white woman, pretty androgynous, very punk rock looking, and she's part of a little group of people that they've saved. So basically, Indians have all the arms, everything barricaded, and they patrol, and they have the surviving white people from the area that have not become zombies that they've found or found them under their protection. So this creates tension and racism within the Red Crow community who's doing this. Obviously, Alan wants to just probably line them up against the wall and shoot them all. Because then there's no chance of them turning into zombies. And then, of course, there's the controversy over the child of Charlie and Joseph. So, a lot of tension, and unfortunately, it causes some of the people who seem to be tight to betray each other and do some really horrific things, and suffer some interesting fates. Lots of gore. This one had a lot of homages to Romero, but I gotta say it wasn't as derivative, scene by scene, trope by trope as the Sadness was. Sadness is good. I'm not trying to knock it. It's solid. It's not great. It's overrated. I'm just gonna say it. You hate me now. It's okay. I'm sorry. But Blood Quantum is underrated, and it's much far superior film. So a much more intelligent film, much more thoughtful film, and like I said, and funny and action packed, and the characters have their little distinct quirks. It reminds me of a little bit of Dog Soldiers, where you had a community of British guys, and they're kind of holed up together. And of course, it itself was inspired heavily by Southern Comfort, where you had a bunch of volunteer National Guardsmen on one of their weekend things they do once in a while, and they get forced to band closer together because they're getting picked off one by these Cajun loonies. And now saying all Cajuns are loonies. Um, in Dog Soldiers, again, you have distinctive characters. They kind of get to know each other, and they're all very much of their culture. The heavy accents and slang and things that only British people would get that I didn't understand what they were talking about. And it was cool. And then they also had a one or two, pardon the pun, wolves in the fold, vipers nestled in within their bosom. So too is the situation with the Red Crow community, because when things turn really bad and really just gross to me, is Alan's been joking, you know, bragging, telling stories about eating pussy and it's bloody, and it's like, dude, we've all been there. It's not, you know, whatever. There's no need to like try to impress your buddy here. He's probably already done it too. I mean, he did get this girl pregnant. There's no deal about it. I don't, but this is one of these guys who's got that stigma in his head. Like, he catches on these things. And even though he's of a different culture, he still has that kind of that macho, I guess that American macho. He's got to like talk smack about all the women he's got, and act tough, and that's how he is about everything. That's why he does really grotesque pranks, like defecate on people's cars, and um, basically my final conclusion is that he's psychotic. He's not just a troubled guy who had a broken home because Trailer's family raised him well, they tried to. It just didn't take. Um, and so this guy, you don't hear for a little bit about his horniness because you hear a lot of it in the beginning. Um, he makes this offhand comment about the humans that are there. And one of the ones you had seen come in a few minutes earlier, like I said, is this character Lilith, kind of this alt death rock, gothy, sort of very androgynous, slender girl. And she's an adult, but probably still like 20 or 25. And he made some comment about fucking her, like she'll do anything or whatever. Now, problem is when we, the audience, saw her use the bathroom the first time she came into the encampment, and she took a look to see how her wound was doing, and it was obviously one of the other zombies had bitten her here, not real deeply. There's kind of a thick scar, and so it's only a matter of time before she turns. It's actually a while before she turns, and she hasn't turned yet in the scene I'm describing, where he's kind of alluding to her as though somebody who would be an easy lay, since he's running out of options here for that, and obviously that's what he's one of his many obsessions, and it's probably his healthiest obsession of all the ones he has. Um, and it gets really weird after that. Basically, Charlie and Joseph are together. Pretty soon, Charlie's going to start feeling like she's going into labor. And Trailer's still trying to run everything. He's got a couple other guys. This guy named Shooker and this his own father. I forgot the other major character is. There's 3 generations, and I guess when if the baby's born, it's 4 generations of this Native American family. So the father was in Vietnam, and he's a badass. He prefers to kill the zombies with samurai swords by cutting their heads off. He's pretty. So again, you have a quirky, kind of memorable kind of character, and they have funny kind of repartee because from knowing each other and having that convivial, that kind of brotherhood, whatever. Well, not in this case brotherhood, this blood relation, this filial bond, both as blood family and as the Native American community, uh, which I thought was great. I mean, that can be done really cloyingly and annoyingly, but it was not in this. It was done straight up really well. The men acted, they were strong men, but they had their weaknesses. It was Alan whose weakness is trying to be too much of a man, and karma hits Alan pretty fucking hard. He decides to, you know, go to bed with Lilith in whatever bed he can find in this place. And he wants her to give him a blowjob. He's mentioned that a couple of blowjobs a couple of times. And I mean, I get it, but he's screaming, and it brings out Joseph and Trailer, and they're all like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "Stop her before she finishes," and I'm like, "It's too late, dude." And she's eating his penis. Okay, it's not really super realistic, and the shot doesn't last long. I had to rewind it a couple of times, and I'm thinking before she finishes, well, it's already severed. I guess he means, they could do a John Wayne Bobbitt and grab it from her and have it surgically reattached. Though with no fancy hospitals in the area, I don't know how they're going to do that. But I don't blame the guy for wanting to hold on to it and just that shred of hope. Maybe one day, maybe I can just stitch it back on and it'll work somehow. But no, she's chomping it now, and they shoot her, so she's dead. And now she's not undead anymore. She's dead. And Alan is naturally a bit perturbed by this. He goes full psycho. I mean, actually, he's less perturbed in some way. This is what makes me think he's really psychotic, because he's actually less perturbed about it than I would be, or most men I think would be. I mean, he doesn't even. He's in shock, kind of, but he's not really letting himself be in shock. He's already so hyped up and fucked up in the head, and hateful, that he just, I guess just, wipes the blood and does a tourniquet. We don't see him do any of this, but I guess he addresses the immediate blood loss and then goes about his business. And his business basically is he is going to annihilate all of these white people in this reserve that they have saved. And so different people take different sides, and they split up. And the wise, sagely old Moon, Gary Farmer, he becomes kind of the lieutenant to Lysol's massacre. And then there was a really cool-looking, attractive goth kind of soldier chick early in the movie, Native American, and we didn't see her for a while, so she's also fallen in with Alan / Lysol. So she's mowing them down, and one or two other characters are in on it. And of course, they come in there and, they dispatch some of these people. Alan manages to get away. Joseph, of course, is still like torn, like, okay, my wife's about to have a kid that may or may not eat her from within. And then my brother here is not exactly my brother. I've got to go save him. He's in trouble again. It's like it's beyond trouble, man. He's irredeemable at this point. And given what's happened to him, I almost don't blame him. But I mean, it's like fuck. So I'm not saying getting your penis bitten off makes you a racist, but obviously he's got a lot of negative feelings about life. So he's a total dick. I think he's kind of the not James, I don't know his first name. That's the Marvel character. The Lieutenant Colonel, the Colonel Rhodes from Day of the Dead kind of character. He's kind of the, just the guy who's been fuming and seething the whole movie, and then just goes full on psycho when, the opportunity presents itself. And like Rhodes, he suffers a fate actually rather similar to Rhodes. And, a few of one of the guys who's turned coat and is helping him is killed by, let's sword from Trailer's father. Trailer himself, trying to get people out of the house, he's overwhelmed by zombies. He doesn't make it. So our hero is kind of dead. I thought he was kind of the hero. So Joss, the wife, the ex-wife's nurse, and her father-in-law, the samurai-wielding Nam vet, and her son Joseph, and Joseph's going into labor, white wife Charlie, and one or two other buddies, and that's it. And white people are gone unless they're zombies. So they're trying to get away from the zombies because it's been spreading with bites. Now that everything's opened up and these people are trying to run for their lives, the white people, they're getting bitten by zombies and becoming zombies too. So it's pretty tense, and they finally get to the shore. They try to get to a boat. I mean, it has a lot of, I'm really overusing this word this week. Sorry, I apologize. It has a lot of tropes you've seen before. Are they going to make it? I mean, these are in Romero movies too. Look at the end of Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead. Are they going to make it? Are they going to make it into that damn helicopter? So there's no helicopter in this movie. So they can forget about that. So there's a boat, and it is commandeered by this buddy of theirs who's kind of been appearing, sporadically through the movie, and you hadn't really seen what happened to him after the big massacre. And so he's rescuing them, and Grandpa decides that he's going to stay. He's like, I'm not being taken from this land again. And so it's like I wished it had been a little more full out, all out, but I guess they thought that might be too unrealistic. But it's like if you've seen enough Shunbara movies or samurai movies from kind of the golden age of those movies, like late 50s to throughout the 70s, there's tons of these movies where the climax is one guy, the hero or anti-hero, and he's taking on like a whole room full and then an army, and he actually manages to kill almost all of them, and he keeps getting wounded, and I am anyway. You're rooting for him to make it, and then the door opens and comes some more, and a kung fu movie that's kind of like that. Not a sword movie, but a kung fu movie that I love like that from that Jaw Scope box set is the boxer from Shantung, and that Alexander Fuxing. He is incredible. He's determined to get revenge on this one asshole criminal overlord who's fucked up his life. And he goes through a whole room, bare knuckle combat. I mean, sometimes he'll grab sticks and blades, but they're coming at him. Nobody's going at him with a gun, but everything else but a gun, and of course, kung fu. And with his kung fu, I mean, he keeps on. He's mortally injured a bunch of times. He knocks down a stairwell because he's been hitting the wood under it repeatedly with his kung fu. I mean, those are common in kung fu movies where you can boom, you can hit the wood, and shatter it. And he's going to get to that motherfucking guy. And if you haven't seen that movie, maybe I shouldn't give it away, but it's brilliant. So, and I mean, I'm with that guy all the way. I'm like, please let him get all the way to the end. At least kill the main bad guy. There's a lot of these movies, and then this one, Grandpa makes his stand, and he fights a few zombies, and then he tells Joseph not to look back, but Joseph looks back from the boat, and you can't really see what's happening, but he's overwhelmed. Now, I want to say this. Before they, get to this point, I alluded to it. I said it happens, but I didn't really go into any detail. Alan shoots one of the characters, I forget which one, who is, he tries to shoot and kill Charlie and kill the baby. That's his intention. And he shoots another character, and then Joss shoots him. She doesn't want to. He's hurt, and then he gets knocked down, and then they have to get out of there, and he can't get up. Help, I'm falling, I can't get up. And of course, you can guess what happens. The zombies horde over him. And of course, he has a dickish attitude all the way to the end, just like Rhodes. And, yeah, they rip out his entrails while he's still living. You have like a shot from above of it. I like this lighting. And it's pretty impressive. Um, yeah, it's great, man. So anyway, Charlie gives birth but dies giving birth, and the child is rather brown skinned, so that he doesn't have weird, funky eyes or anything, and like the baby in the sadness, and so yeah, he survived, and Joss, the mother, survived. Joseph, the son. Uh, but their two buddies that came to rescue them, I kept rewinding and I don't know what the hell happened to them. It seemed like the boat ended up. There were two boats. Uh, if someone can tell me what the deal is with that, because I thought these other two guys who came to help them. I mean, I didn't see anyone pick them off, but help me out if you can on that one. But you basically see, Grandpa's gone, but you basically see the three generations: Joss, Joseph, and the grandbaby, and she's Joss is she's just rowing. She's a great actress, beautiful woman. Looks much younger than her age, though. I mean, the black don't crack, so maybe red don't. I don't know what rhymes with that. But she's kind of interesting, though. Her name is Elmasia Tailfeathers, and not only is she an actress, she's a lot younger than I thought. She's 35. She is a Blackfoot and Sami Indian. Um, she's won a bunch of Canadian prizes for filmmaking as a director. She's a curator of the Kainai First Nation. Um, yeah, she won the Canadian Screen Award for Best Director, co-director with Kathleen, not Catherine, Hepburn for The Body Remembers When the World Broke Open, which also won the Toronto Film Critic Association's $100,000 Rogers Best Canadian Film Award. And now I don't know if a Sami is an Indian or not. I'm not sure because her father's name is Bjorn Store Jacobson. So maybe he's Northern European. So she's half and half. Her mother's a Kainai and Blackfoot and named Dr. Esther Tailfeathers. So anyway, just some extra little bits and pieces. I'm gonna go back to where I was real quick because I've talked about the movie and given you my opinion of it. I'm gonna see if there's anything else interesting about it. Did it win any awards? It was nominated. It won second runner-up for the People's Choice Award, Midnight Madness, and then it was acquired for international distribution on the Shudder streaming service in 2019, and then was made available for streaming on Shudder in the United States, United Kingdom, and Ireland on April 28th, 2020. Now on Rotten Tomatoes, that's 90%. I don't give a fuck about Rotten Tomatoes. So it was nominated for a lot of independent Canadian awards. So anyway, looking for more from Jeff Barnaby. I don't know. I guess I need to look him up. I don't know if he himself is Native American. I would guess, but I want to click on him and find out real quick. He's a Mi'kmaq. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with that culture exactly. So let's follow that. First Nations people of the northeastern woodlands indigenous to the areas of Canada's Atlantic provinces and Gaspé Peninsula of Quebec. So yes, he is. And I research a lot of Native American stuff. I did research a lot of Native American stuff in Canada when I was writing some pastiche stuff that took place in Canada for the Walt Newton pages. But Flicker Street, most of the action takes place in Massachusetts, and I've done a research on all the Indian tribes that lived in that whole area or migrated or you know, during, well, from thousands of years all the way up to the present, because it feeds into the present day characters. I grew up reading James Michener, so you know. So that's it, man. That's Blood Quantum. Keep strong, man. I hope you guys liked the review. Please hit a like button, please. And thanks for all the views. I appreciate all the attention. Um, I will say, just because my friends are going to be watching, I did get my new job today. I'm not going to be starting at it for, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks. So things are still going to be really tight as I taper off my current job, which now I'm working 2 days a week instead of one. But I think I'm only be working 2 more, maybe 4 more, but probably only 2 more. So it's going to be rough. So if you can help me out, please do. I'm I'm trying to get out of this, man. It's killing me. But at least my creative urge has not been, uh, squashed. So I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Even if you want me to go somewhere, sorry, guys. Love you guys.